This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome to the September 16th EDIC meeting for Easthampton's Economic Development and Industrial Commission. We are going to bypass our approval of meeting minutes for the moment because we are awaiting our fifth member, and our city planner can only stick around for about 20 minutes. So in the absence of members of the public to contribute to public speak currently, should any arrive, we can readjust, but I'd like to invite Allison to share with us any updates she's got on some of the topics that we've been talking about in the recent past. We've had CDs we've been talking about. I saw that New City's got its new designs coming to City Council tomorrow, and those are going to be up on the website by, I assume, the end of the week. And what else? What are we working on?
Well, thank you for the flexibility and your understanding that I'll have to run out a little bit early, but we do have a few things on the City Council agenda tomorrow for New City. One is the updates on the design plans for the infrastructure and parks designs that have been ongoing for the last couple of years for the New City neighborhood. Our consultants will be giving that presentation, and we're excited to be nearing the finish line there. The outcome will be bid-ready plans. Doesn't mean we have funding to construct everything at this point, but when the funding is lined up, we'll be ready to go, which is a good thing. Also, tomorrow night, the council will be considering adopting the final portions of the district improvement financing for the Ferry Street district. Back in 2018, they had established the district, but hadn't completed all the components that are required. The two things being taken up tomorrow are the establishment of the invested revenue district and the invested revenue district development program. And effectively that identifies the parcels that revenues will be captured from and redirected directly back into the district, and how that revenue will be used, which at this point it's proposed to be used for the demolition of, I believe it's what's occupying the 11 Ferry Street portion of the property, which will make way for 96 units of affordable housing, as well as some some shared parking, some public amenities like a shared use path that will connect Ferry Street to the bike path, and other improvements there. Associated with that is the city's is asking to borrow up to $3 million to front the demolition costs and pay it back over time with the property tax revenues from that invested revenue district. So the city council will be talking about all of that tomorrow and hopefully approving the borrowing request and also adopting those two components that I mentioned. Also in New City, but not on the agenda for city council, 11 Ferry Street was awarded housing tax credits. So that's sort of another important piece of moving the overall plan for that property forward. The 96 units that I mentioned, it's much more of a sure thing now that those tax credits have been awarded. Their financing package is kind of coming together, and as soon as the city is able to help get that building demolished, they're gonna be able to hit the ground running, which is great. I had mentioned previously we applied for a grant for Emerald Place, which is also in the New City neighborhood, to do some slope stabilization and some infrastructure work there. We found out from the state we weren't awarded the grant, not because our application wasn't competitive. It just they got way more applications than they had funding, and unfortunately we just didn't win out this year. But we are still moving forward with doing the water line in Emerald Place. So there will be some construction. We actually just released the construction bid last week, and the hope is to start construction this fall. So that will be getting done sooner rather than later, or at least will be started. We'll be doing half of the street this year. So in the past, we talked about the short-term rental updates. It's still been ongoing. The ordinance committee did set a joint public hearing with the planning board for October 7th to go over what has come out of the discussions. The planning board will only be voting on the zoning ordinance component, which is pretty straightforward. It's just basically saying they're allowed, but the ordinance committee has also drafted general city ordinances around the operation of short-term rentals that are much more substantive. It's just the planning board doesn't actually vote on those. So the city council will take up the zoning, the full city council will take up the zoning and the general ordinances on October 22nd. So hopefully we'll have a resolution to all of this by the end of next month. We have some other regulatory updates that we're working on. The Aquifer Protection Overlay District regulations. It was kind of brought forward over the summer or last spring that they're a bit outdated, and Patty Gambarini from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission has been looking at ways to update those regulations. At the same time, the Housing Partnership and Times here, they have put forth recommendations to overhaul the zoning to make it more suitable for infill development, increased density generally, to make affordable housing more realistic and more possible in the city, make our regulations work towards that objective, not against it. And so there's some reconciling to do between the recommendations with the drinking water regulations and the housing partnership suggested changes. So there's still work going on there. And also our accessory dwelling unit ordinance is a bit out of date with what the state has adopted. So we've been working on just some minor revisions to make it more in line with the state regulations. There's plenty more, but that's kind of the gist of it. I don't know if you also, I saw later on the agenda that you had the vacant building ordinance, and I'm happy to talk about that too if you wanted.
Yeah,
Sure.
we had the building inspector 2 months ago, come and chat with us about his perspective on the extent to which that is working / relevant. And I'm interested in any other perspective you have to add to that conversation for sure.
Well, I just had some updates because I did get a chance to talk with him just before the meeting. He sent out letters to the properties that are vacant, that he confirmed were vacant or suspected were vacant at that point in time. Those letters went out in early August. He got a response from a couple. One has requested to display public art in lieu of paying the registration fee, which is allowed by the ordinance. The other was the Walgreens building. It is locally owned, but Walgreens has the lease through next April and has like complete control over that part of the building. They have the keys, like they haven't given access or anything to the property. So the likelihood of it being occupied until April is like next to zero because Walgreens controls it, but also the likelihood of Walgreens responding to the city is also pretty low. So that one, it's unfortunately, I think it's probably just going to sit for a little bit until Walgreens lease runs out. David had updated the listing overall because quite a few of the original properties that were on the list are now occupied, which is great. And there's really only a few vacancies. There's the notorious Moriarty and Moriarty building that everybody knows about, and the 87 Main Street, which was the former Shark Tank Tattoo, is another Moriarty property that's also vacant, and we're still waiting to hear back from the owner on what they would like to do. They were on vacation, is what we were told when the letters went out. But yeah, other than that, everything's leased up or ready to be occupied, and things are in good shape.
That's great. I love knowing that. What benefit does Walgreens get from keeping that building vacant, keeping the lease? I don't know. Breaking the lease, I guess. I don't know.
Well, so the lease is through April, and it might be prepaid, or because they're in bankruptcy court, they're just like so underwater with everything else that it's just they don't care. I honestly, I don't know the details of the correspondence that has happened between Walgreens and the landowner, property owner.
Got it.
Gwen, if I could ask a question, I apologize if I'm on a phone. And if I'm technically challenged on a computer, it's even worse on a phone. But Allison, Tom Brown here. One of the things we raised with Dave, and I'm guessing there's probably not much we can do about it, but some of those Moriarty storefronts on Main Street have names, signage in them, what have you, but there doesn't appear to be any real business there. And we're probably limited by the ordinance we have that he can claim there's a business there because there's signage up and it appears to be a business. But I think if you look at them fairly closely from the Silver Spoon down to the restaurant, I'm not sure there's an active business really there.
So I did talk with David about that specifically, and he said he walked it just this morning and took a look, and as far as he could tell, they were technically occupied, and so yeah, he felt like there really wasn't anything that the city could do.
Okay.
Because they're using the Shark Tank tattoo windows and doors and stuff to advertise local concerts and art events, aren't they? Like some of those posters are changing, aren't they? Am I mistaking which storefront is doing that?
I am not sure myself, but that Shark Tank tattoo storefront is one of the confirmed vacancies. So David did note that one is in fact vacant and should be registered.
Yeah. Okay.
And Allison, do you have any updates on the project of the former church on Pleasant Street?
They got an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission last night and will be going before the planning board this evening. And I think they're hoping for a conditional approval from the planning board as well tonight.
Great. And that's now how many units?
Oh goodness. They dropped a couple of units, at least 2. I'm trying to remember the original unit count. I thought it was something like 41. So then they're probably at 39, somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah, it might have been 42, or maybe they're at 40.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember if it was 7 or 9 units in the actual church building itself. And then, the rest were new. And it was 2 of the new units that were eliminated due to the proximity to the slope in the back. So it's very close to the original count. It's just a couple short.
Great. So it's moving forward. So it's, again, more housing, more infill. That's great.
Cool beans. Thanks, Allison. Does anyone have any other follow-up questions for our city planner? Also, welcome, Cassie. Okay. All right. Allison, you are free to go, or you are free to stay for the next 4 minutes.
I'm gonna run, but thank you all again for your understanding, and I look forward to our next meeting.
Certainly. Thank you so much. Till next time.
Thank you, Allison.
Here's where we're at. So, Cassie, we didn't approve our July meeting minutes yet. There was no member of the public to speak, so we had Allison go first because she needed to leave early. I propose that we deal with our meeting minutes approval from July now, and then we will invite Kayam to share with us some stuff about rent control efforts. So has everyone on EDIC all 5 of us are here, had a chance to review the July meeting comprehensive essay I wrote that is not really minutes, more just play-by-play. We cool? Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Can I make a motion to approve them?
I wish you would. Thank you so much, Cassie. Do we have a second? Dave Kutcher seconds, Dave Delvecchio thirds. Lovely. Any further discussion of the July meeting minutes? Okay, all in favor of approving the July 2025 meeting minutes, holler aye / visibly show me that you thumbs up or high five it.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Unanimously passed. Delightful. July meeting minutes. Pardon me while I take a note. All right. Hey, Kayam. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Inviting me.
We're delighted to have you. Kayam is busy. So would you like to share with us in particular about the rent control efforts that you and other parts of the municipality and state are working on? Please and thank you.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's not news to anyone in this group that renters are struggling in Easthampton, particularly in the news lately. We've had examples of private equity or out-of-state corporations buying up rental properties and jacking up rents at like 30, 40, sometimes even more all at once. This has been really concerning for a lot of people in the community. There's been a lot of mobilization and tenant organizing around some of these cases that have gotten a lot of attention. That being said, we have passed a local resolution earlier this year, I think in February, that called on the state to move forward with statewide legislation that would lift the statewide ban and allow cities to enact limits on rent increases at the local level. That is still in process. There was a hearing a couple months ago. They still have a few more weeks, I'm pretty sure, on moving on that. So that is sort of one of the avenues that the advocates and us as a city are involved in really pushing for rent control. The second avenue is through the rent study committee that the city created as a secondary action to that resolution. And what that does is it established a special committee by the city council. So it includes both city councilors as well as community members at large. And their specific tasks, the original, and I say this very specifically because it's a whole story that I won't get into the sordid details, but like I think it's important context. The initial resolution or the initial request specifically called out creating a home rule petition process to petition the state for local ability to cap rent increases, and then also to review any other city policies or ordinances on how to support tenants more generally. That made it to city council, got pushed to rules committee, and somehow in that mix, and I don't want to cast any aspersions, but somehow that language got rewritten to be, and it wasn't deliberated on, so it really was just sort of, I guess, a clerical error, or like the chair of the committee just wrote it wrong on their submission back to the city council. They changed it to study the rental market and then recommend policies on how we can support tenants. So they sort of stripped out the specific language around seeking a home rule petition. So I am part of that committee. We haven't met yet, but the first meeting, my big thing is going to be to call out that discrepancy in language and really push the committee to move towards our initial intention, which was to start this process. All that being said, the process that I think serves as a really good model for Easthampton is the one that happened in Boston in 2022, in which they moved forward with the home rule petition at the end of it. The process was it was over the course of, I think, 18 months, and they did 6 public listening sessions and multiple advisory committee meetings where they brought in landlords and tenants and property owners and established sort of what the local policy would look like in Boston, what the exemptions would be. And then that sort of built both momentum and also buy-in to get it passed on the ballot initiative. And the city did pass it on the ballot that year. It's just got sent to the state legislature for approval and died in committee like they all do. So that is the second pillar that we're working on. So that's committee is has not met yet. We're organizing it. There will be, I think, a chair voted in at some point. So that will be interesting work to keep an eye on. The third thing is if the legislation doesn't pass, if cities aren't able to get local control to implement this, advocates, specifically Rent Control Now and Affordable Homes for All Massachusetts, is organizing a statewide or a statewide ballot petition to get a cap on rent increases on the ballot. So this, instead of giving municipalities the option to do rent stabilization, it would set a statewide cap of a maximum of 5% annually. It excludes new construction of up to 10 years in buildings with 4 or fewer units. And I'm pretty sure also owner-occupied buildings. And for that to get on the ballot, so this would be for the 2026 midterm, like presidential ballot or congressional ballot. The initial petition needs to get 75,000 signatures from registered voters across the state. And that needs to be submitted to the Secretary of State by like the first couple days of December. So the next several weeks are really just signature gathering on this to get it on the ballot. And it's not even like, this is similar to like collecting nominations to be elected to city council or for mayor. It's you have to get the signatures to even get on the ballot, and then voters decide. So organizations across the state are coordinating on getting those signatures. In Western Mass, the main organization leading the charge is Springfield No One Leaves, who's also been really involved in some of the local tenant organizing. They have sort of a form that I can make sure you guys all get the link to that connects you up with other volunteers, specifically in Hampshire County. And I'm also setting up sort of a local team, Easthampton, to collect and ratify signatures specifically for Easthampton. It's similar to the nomination petitions where each city clerk in each town has to verify the signatures of their registered voters. So it makes it easier if you can collect signatures from one voting group at a time. So you don't have to have, you'll have to have a separate signature sheet for every single city and town. So it creates a little bit of complexity, and it makes it easier if we can really make sure everyone in Easthampton that wants to sign can sign. And just that might be 5,000 signatures if we're being ambitious. So like I said, I have links, my contact information, a lot of resources and information compiled by Homes for All Massachusetts on rent control, the research surrounding it, why it's important, why it's relevant in the state of Massachusetts. All that I can make sure you guys get. And I'm also happy to answer any questions you have now, but I know that was a lot.
It was indeed a lot. So I invited Kyan because I want to make another venue available to the municipality. Anybody who watches our recordings about what the rent control work is. It's tied into housing, which is tied into our economic sustainability efforts. So are there questions that you have about any part of this that I'm not necessarily saying that EDIC should like be signing on to all parts of this, but I want it to be clear what the information is that's going out to the community is. Are there questions we should be asking about this, or ways that we should be tying into it?
Hi, I'm Tom Brown here. I wanted to clarify something you said. Did you say that this, when it eventually passes, would not apply to owner occupied or units less than 4?
Yes, that's correct. So the way that the proposal is currently written would exempt buildings with 4 or fewer units and also owner occupied buildings.
Okay, great. Because I had a concern originally in the back of my mind about the mom and pops, and I guess in reality, if the limit, if the rent control only controls it annually, but not an overall cap, that doesn't sound too scary to me.
Yeah. It's not a freeze. It would just be a maximum of 5% annually. So,
Yeah.
I think that this is also in the Easthampton context, we have great examples of landlords, mom and pop landlords that have been renting at a sub-market levels and not raising their rents. So this would give them, I think, fair purchase to say, I'm just going to start raising 3% or 5% annually. And it's not, it'll be predictable and something that the tenants, it won't be something that's 40% all at once, which is really what's displacing people.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think that the that annual cap makes it possible for people to have a hope of absorbing that increase in just the cost of being in the box with walls, regardless of every other cost. When you are adding on 40% rent increase plus electrical costs going up plus food costs going up, that's making it impossible for lots of people to be alive in our area. Other thoughts or questions to share? Okay. Kayam, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you.
Of course.
And you're a semi-public person. People can find you if they need you. So yeah, look them up if you have more follow-up questions. Okay.
And when if Kayam gets those links to you, you can get them out to us.
Absolutely. And in fact, I mean, if he gets them to me, I'll probably just put them in our minutes so that then they're posted wherever they were originally posted, as well as in our minutes on the city's website.
Great.
Cool. Thanks very much. I hope you have a great afternoon.
You too. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kayam.
Okay. So, the last things that I wrote down that felt predictable to me were following up from our July conversation about vacant storefront ordinance and short-term rentals considerations. So, I mean, if we've got final things that we want city entities to consider about short-term rentals, we have a relatively short timeline on which to operate because that ordinance committee planning board joint meeting is coming up on the 7th per Allison's report out just now. And then city council is meant to give their final vote a little over a month from now. So that's for us to be thoughtful about. Did I go and find what all they're writing about? I sure didn't. We could go find what their most recent proposals are. Or I can bring what gets discussed at October 7th to our October meeting. I think that's before the 22nd. It's the day before. Good for us. And does anybody have any follow-up thoughts about what we learned from David, our building inspector, or from Allison today about our vacant storefront ordinance and how it's working or not?
It sounds like it's working. I think she said did she say the number 6 that have been rented since it went, or registered since it went in place?
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's working. I mean, I'm still concerned about the Main Street properties, if they're real businesses or not, but so be it. We'll live with that. But it sounds like it's doing what we intended it to do.
So that's the interesting part to me, and I'm glad you brought it up with Allison, the idea of the Moriarty storefront. So, Shark Tank is certainly worth paying attention to. We did write the language of that ADU super specifically. We gave people an out if it looks sort of lived in, if it's got art that is not just sitting there for years at a time, like it's a rotating exhibit, then great, you can get out of your however many dollars a day or month. But I remember when we were crafting that thing in the first place, we had the Moriarty and Moriarty building on our minds about that. And I think our understanding so far is that we just haven't heard a single thing from that property owner. I think that's the most recent update we've gotten from every person who's ever given us an update about it. So I wonder what to do about that. It doesn't seem like the ADU, or not ADU, the vacant storefront is going to address that. I wrote ADU language, that's why I keep saying that out loud. Sorry.
So
What's your
feedback on the shark
Artie-
tank tattoo.
Artie?
Okay, Dave and Tom
Sorry.
are both on phones engaging with this, so one of you is going to mute. Tom, you mute first, and then David's going to talk, and then we'll switch. Okay. Okay, David.
Thanks. I guess I just thought that there were fines that went into place once there was no response.
Yes, and they were attached as a lien.
Okay,
So-
yeah.
Who enforces that? I don't know.
We should go find the final ordinance language, shouldn't we? David Kutcher?
So I've been kind of inquiring about the Shark Tank property because I was kind of interested in renting it. I have not heard back a peep from the numbers I was given, but at the same time, the word on the street is that the properties are not move-in ready. I'll put it kindly. And that there might be some issues there, which is why there's nobody renting there, which might get to a bigger problem than anyone wants to tackle.
That's interesting. So the idea of it being move-in ready, our idea was tied to a building inspection, right? That it is a rentable space. Okay, Cassie, what are your thoughts?
What's the Shark Tank building?
It's in between Silver Spoon and
Oh, okay,
the florist shop, one of those storefronts in
Yeah.
between.
got it.
On that, on what does Tom Brown call it? Shop Row.
I believe it's 67 Main Street is the
There you
address.
Yeah. So we should go look at that language. I don't think we're going to solve this today, but yeah, we're supposed to be able to incur some regular fine. I wonder if we have run into a problem of like, who does enforce that? What is that mechanism? Do we have the time and capacity to do that? Because we already know, like, this was never intended to be a moneymaker. This was intended to be a way to ensure that we have a more vibrant and thriving main space for commerce in the city. So that's not the idea, but there is supposed to be some tooth to it.
Gwen, I think the only person who has the authority, I'm guessing, to enforce fines, I'm guessing would be the building commissioner. I don't believe we would have that authority.
Right. No, we definitely don't. Yeah, I meant we as a city, as the interested parties. Okay. So research to do to bring back the language to the group for next time.
And along the lines of what Dave was saying, here's the issue with the Moriarty and Moriarty building. It is uninhabitable.
Right.
So I don't know how the owner gets around this other than potentially taking the building down.
Right.
And letting it be open space for now until something else happens.
Right.
I remember that there's reference to building condemnation in the ordinance. Or
Right.
at least there was.
Yeah, in our original draft, yeah. Okay. So we need to be able to review that. Is there anything in particular you want to bring for discussion about short-term rentals at our next meeting? Like we'll have what's going to be under discussion at City Council so that we could craft a response that we can share with City Council before their meeting on the 22nd. Should we just wait till that time and just be like, all right, let's get into it. Let's decide what our response is, inviting discussion of some nuance or full support or whatever. Was that a clear request? It seems like it wasn't. I'm seeking your input on what we can do in October about short-term rentals.
When I think maybe we have to play a little wait and see, because we're not sure. I mean, it's hard to say sitting here if we're for or against something that's coming forward, or if we'd have recommendations to tweak it until we see what they put on the table.
Right. So my proposal is that October will have definite space on it to talk about what we know at that point the proposal will be that's going to City Council the next day. Our meeting is the 21st. They're right now, their scheduled final vote on it is on the 22nd of October. So we'll have 24 hours to, get something to them.
Yeah, I think we should do that. Definitely.
Okay. So then I would propose that we've got two major things that we're talking about in October. One is the language of our vacant storefront, so we can refresh our own memories about what are our enforcement capacities built into the language. What is there to be done given that existing language? Do we have a new task to undertake? And do we have anything to say about short-term rentals? Are there other topics to bring to the next meeting? Cassie, do we have more to say about our environmental program?
I have met with pretty much no response from anyone who's responsible for moving this forward.
Oh.
And so I'm basically stepping back from this because there's just no interest.
Okay.
All right. Can't get the ball rolling.
Okay.
With regrets.
Understood. Yeah, carrying the ball alone. It's hard to be a team when it's just one of you. Okay. Mr. Del Vecchio, anything at the chamber that is coming up for you that you'd want to share out, or?
I'll know more about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Our first meeting in a couple months is tomorrow morning. So other than the items that are listed on the agenda, I don't know if there's a lot going on. I know that we're looking at taking part in a program that's going to target students for whom 2-year and 4-year continuing education after high school is not an ideal path, to try to align them with employers who are looking for entry-level job applicants, to have them start a career immediately after high school. So there's some information on our agenda tomorrow to discuss that more fully. So I'm excited to learn about that because I think this is an interesting kind of sister program to our co-starters program. And other than that, I mean, we've got a full slate of scheduled events that are coming up throughout the, fall months, because things tend to, chamber events tend to get a little bit further and farther in between in the summer months. But just here, I'm calling it up. I can call out a couple of the events. There's a Grillin' and Chillin' event that's co-sponsored by Greenfield Savings Bank, Bay KSB, and Riverside Industries happening on September 18th. In the months of October, November, and December, each month there is a Coffee and Connections event that is sponsored by Tandem Bagel that you can register for and come to the chamber office/work hub. Those are on October 10th, November 21st, and December 12th, respectively. And the big event on the fall calendar is November 14th, which is She Leads. It's the continuation of our Women in Leadership Conference. So that's co-sponsored by Bank KSP, Greenfield Savings, and Florence Savings, as I said, on November 14th. So busy stuff coming up for the chamber, that's for sure.
That's cool. Thank you. Very exciting about your high school program. I love that.
Yeah, it's through a group. It's I'm sure it's pronounced mentorship, but the program is spelled MNTRSHIP. But I was reading through the materials that we'll be discussing at the board meeting tomorrow. It looks very intriguing. Basically, what it does is it's a matchmaking clearinghouse where those interested in the program can look at a job board that the employers can post entry-level positions on. Yeah, it looks interesting.
Amazing. All right. I like it. Mr. Kutcher, is there anything that you would hope to be on the October docket or that you'd like to bring up today for future consideration?
Oh, goodness. No, I'm good for now.
Okay. All right, Franz. In the absence of other topics you'd like to bring up. Oh, Tom Brown, you got anything?
I do not. Nothing comes to mind right now, but if it does, I have your email.
That's true. All of you do. Okay. Well, I'm going to propose that we close early then, because I don't think we don't have a ton of meat to chew. Neither gristle. Our plate is mostly empty. So great. Anybody want a motion for that?
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you so
I'll
much.
second.
All those things.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Loved seeing you. All in favor, holler aye. We get to go away.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.